Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands and welcome to an SP Reacts where today we're going to be checking out the first 6 tracks off of an album from an act named Killah Threat titled Age of Aquarius. And if we switch over to here we have ourselves the album art for it from Thoroughbred Entertainment on YouTube Music. It's just been released this year on the it's 2025. There are 14 songs. We're going to be listening through the first 6 of them today. It should be noted that I've listened through previous albums from Killah Threat before on this channel, such as The Hood Delegate, Grim Killers with Grim Giuliani, as well as Cool Killers with Cool Cal. And we're going to listen through the first 6 tracks off of Age of Aquarius from start till finish. And we're going to hear what we think. Starting with stars, let's go. What do we got? I like the web. It grows like
Despite
that.
my success, I want more. Cause my energy's not completed until I soar. For that reason, people in secret now they want war. But even in peace, I am a dog like on all fours. Making the style and the swag seem effortless. Look like $1 million as I clean off my necklace. I hit up a specialist to get that ooh-wee as I go through these synchronicities like an OG. You know me. Since 4 feet I've been connected. I see I can't go oneself when I look at my reflection. I have to watch my mouth. I know my tongue is like a weapon. If you don't like the truth, then I advise you get to stepping. I do not deal in fallacy or any misdirection. That's why I take my time and fall back and get the assessing the environment. Hoping the next 20 years might bring me retirement. But until then, I'll be filling out these requirements. So let's
Beautiful.
look up the resume. From the home of throwing deuce or throwing trays. You shooting pistols or you shooting fades. You taking L's or you making plays. Are you the mouse or the bird of prey? On Saturdays we collect and we get lit. Then connect with the Connect 4 hours in Kansas City. Asking where this going for, they talking about 750. In a disclosed area to meet with the subcommittee. Rolling up hella sticky. Thanks to the recreational and sensational that all of this is available. I hope it's scalable and more attainable to get ahead. Cause more people dying and less getting bread. But all in the name of cred. That's hood logic. Even though we can end up fed, we choose knowledge. Just speaking from overseeing baptisms in the mud. From dark and rainy nights of sleeping face down in the sludge. With spiders, roaches, crickets, and slugs and other insects. To being in a 3-story home, dodging the nonsense. I'm elevating my state of mind while looking fresh out the casket. I follow the stars, doing mental gymnastics. I stay in the gym, shooting my shot at baskets. Trying to manifest my own Angela Bassett. I came a long way for being hip-hop's assassin. I don't do workarounds when creating a classic.
I just love the extended verse there. The fact that we feel so confident with our ability now that we don't need to rely on going back to a hook line or a chorus. We're simply able to use the most of that extended stanza to really sort of fill out a more sort of like in-depth concept. Beautiful harmonies.
Who are the signs that are going to benefit and really have a bunch of energies and luck as soon as February 13 hits? We have Mars moving into the sign of Aquarius. On February 16th, we have Venus moving into the sign of Aquarius. We are going to have a lot of different planets in the sign of Aquarius for the last couple days of February. Starting on the 13th, we have the Sun, we have Pluto, we have Mercury, we're gonna have Mars, and we're gonna have Venus. This is a lot of planets in the sign of Aquarius. Who is going to benefit from all these planets in the sign of Aquarius? Of course, it's going to be Aquarius. You guys right now should do whatever it is your heart desires. You guys right now should do whatever it is you've always been wanting to do. Luck is on your side. Fortune is on your side. You guys are in golden times right now. If you are an air sign, Libra, Gemini, and Aquarius, especially you Aquarius, you have a bunch of planets with you supporting you and giving you all their energies. Take advantage of it and do whatever it is your heart desires.
So I just want to take another look through that, or another listen through that verse before I have some comments on this, but it's a really beautiful start to an album. Okay, so I think this song is a combination with stars, of talking about their own journey as a musician, combined with a general comment on their life now, the juxtaposition between who they were and who they are, and also it being the Age of Aquarius in the sense that, especially with the voiceover at the end, that sample there talking about the star signs and everything like that. It's like saying, hey, at this point in time, with the way that all the stars are aligned and everything like that, you'll be able to do incredible, amazing things with that. And there's a bit of magic to it, whilst we're very sort of frank at the same time with the story that we're telling, about like the fact that we can't take it for granted, but that, we don't do workarounds when creating a classic. I think one thing I appreciate alongside the story and the fact that it sets out the context of the album immediately is that we have these really beautiful keys that sound like they're floating in the night sky. They glitz and they've got a lot of they sound beautiful, and there are these wonderful cherry major elements. Even with the extensions, there's more of a kind of a jazzy, sleek, sophisticated R&B sort of feel to it that I think works really well with the flow from Killah Threat, because on this track they smash it out of the park. I love how relaxed and accessible the actual flow of the vocals is. The words come through clearly, we are eloquent, we are communicating in a way where it's not just easy to listen to, but incredibly proficient from an actual technique perspective. And so when you combine the starriness of some of those key elements as well as the polish on the mic, it's really just a final consideration of the fact that I just think there were certain concepts here, and outside of the production, which is commercial grade, but there are things here that just sort of scream, like just the sound of the drums, the percussion, the way that we have these interesting sort of rolls on the snares and the kit, the actual, not just the samples, but like the way it's performed and the variations of the different rhythms in there, the dynamic range to the piece, the structuring of it in a way where we're just immediately letting the person know, hey, this is not going to be a traditional sort of like verse, chorus kind of setup. We are trying to do something different here where we're allowing it to be our own sort of, where we're walking you through it. And so I just think it's a really promising beginning to this. I enjoy the fact that there are lyrics as well on YouTube Music. Thank you for that. I enjoy when people allow those to be present so that you can read through them after the case, because there's a lot to take in with all the intricacy and nuance of the instrumental backing and the production in general. But yeah, it's fantastic. I think all things are really nicely connected, and it gives me a lot of hope for the second track. Because you have Blaxapolitan, track number 2.
Hey, this is your main DJ Sir Funkum, and we're back with another captivating track, activating all thoughts of self-empowerment and wise moves. As the world turns and our dreams burn, it is you and I who still must decide what happens when the page turns. Will you live and let die, or will you live and live on?
It's lonely at the top of my circle.
Oh, the bell tree.
I graduated from a trap into the VIP. Your baby mama up her and showing her TIT. I'm a urban legend, but stay up off my TIP. You can't imagine in St. Louis what I did. Was in the mud every day like it was my GIG. Taught all the homies that transition, hope you alright. Into the homies on the block, watch for the PIG, nigga. Lay in the county on weekends, I was a city slicker. Who begged to differ? Surrounded by the weed and liquor. My mind would flicker. Through my time, I was getting sicker. But here's the kicker: they hate on the one and only.
Sorry to interrupt. Can you, if you're listening through headphones, it's just a really magical experience. Just all these different interesting bell trees and string sections and these backing vocals as a sub layer going up to the upper range. It's just tremendous, dude.
With loose lips, knowing that they nervous. These like Kenny the Jet Sniff. I'm appalled by these so-called G's act like bras. I break your jaw, then make you pause like martial law. It's hilarious, I'm so nefarious. Blowing up the horse and carriages, I don't encourage it, but it is just what it is, even as a kid. Every day I stand on business so they can't fuck with the biz. They send the money away, but I don't take a whiz. I allocate my paper back and spend it on my kids. Shit, that's common sense. With great power, bring great responsibilities, nigga. I'm talking mortgage, business, children, and utilities, nigga. Now where I'm from, slow feed, do not eat. So while you're playing out here, listen, go out and get you some income. Wash, rinse, then repeat. To put yourself into position, listen. You want the lump sum, move and be discreet. No matter whatever condition, go out and get you some income. income. Wash, rinse, then repeat to put yourself into position. Listen, I know it's looking sunny now. Now make your bread as you hold it down. Better look sunny now, make your bread. Prepare winter come around. Keep your head as you spend the time. When the winter come around, keep your head.
You know, I've been so tired of seeing the same things. It's like
Great use of space.
Acting when we speak. Slowly moving our feet round. Lazy till the teeth. And then when you get down, you blame everybody.
It's just great to have singing as well as the rapped parts, you know, just the funk of it, just the unison, the rhythmic unison of different elements is just tremendous. It's just awesome, man.
With the in crowd, failing just to see. You really gotta just slow down and build up from the feet. The city where I'm from, you could fall in deep. Oh, yeah, did I mention jobs are obsolete? If you're not paying attention, you could miss some things. And if you fall down, then you start to see that you really gotta just work hard, try out different things. You better handle your business, wash, rinse, then repeat.
Now where I'm from, slow feet do not.
Great use of panning as well.
And out here, listen. Go out and get you some income. Wash, rinse, then repeat to put yourself into position. Listen, you want the lump sum, move and be discreet. No matter whatever condition, go out and get you some income. Wash, rinse, then repeat to put yourself into position. Listen, I know it's looking sunny now. Now make your bread as you hold it down. Better look sunny now, make your bread. Prepare winter come around. Keep your head as you spend the time. When the winter come around, keep your head. I know it's looking sunny now. Now make your bread as you hold it down. Better look sunny now, make your bread. Prepare winter come around. Keep your head as you spend the time. When the winter come around, keep your head. Yep.
I mean, that was just wonderful. It was so full of life and vivacious. And yeah, there's a lot of things I appreciate about it. So then this track, Blaxapolitan from Killah Threat number 2, I think it's about someone who is more looking at how they initially started being surrounded by sort of illicit substances and like maybe in an environment where they felt like they were getting sicker over time. But now they've gotten to a point in their life where they're out of that sort of situation. They're trying to sort of find ways and they're taking on some further responsibilities and just trying to make the most of the opportunities that are present. And they look at other people who are still kind of screwing around and they're not showing a level of patience because of the behavior and everything like that. But it's simply because I suppose they know how important it is to sort of be on top of your stuff. The chorus lines are more sort of discussing more sort of like a song strategy for how to approach a lot of this. And I like it. I dig that way. It's more sort of upbeat and positive in a sense with that hook line. You get the context in the verse and then you get the lessons learned in the chorus. I think one thing I appreciate about this song is the way that the rhythm is so sort of like integral to it, whether it's not just the way that we rap, and that by itself is very competent, as well as the sung parts, which are a bit slower and you have call and response to those with some of the piano parts. But it's also that we have this bum 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 bum. We have these sort of staccato notes that are almost accented, and you get all the instruments kind of coming together on those with an innate sense of funkiness. But when the vocals come on top and they sort of like are in sort of in line with each other, it's just incredibly catchy, and just it's very satisfying to listen to. There's a sense of smoothness with some of the parts, such as the bell trees and the transitions between parts of the track being very sort of like sensational, but it's also the contrast and the switching around that makes it more intriguing. So I think the actual use of rhythms in this across the variety of different instruments within this track is one thing to appreciate. But I think the second thing is just how incredibly intricate the actual composition is from a production instrumental standpoint. You've got all these sort of like string sectioned bell trees and synths and like electric basses, I think, and kits are similar samples to the previous track, if I'm not mistaken, as well as a lot of other ones. And it's just, there's just so many cool ideas that aren't used all the time, but are used sometimes. And those ideas, what they do is allow us to really sort of sit there and kind of appreciate the sort of the ability required and the awareness and experience required to know exactly when to put those, as well as the overall sort of like painting that you're going to get up with afterwards. And so I think for a complicated overall harmony and theme like this, which does have a sense of sort of swagger and sort of spice to it, but it's also very sort of like self-contained and confident at the same time. And I just think, again, it's a call and response of different vocal parts off of each other, the way the different instruments and sort of sung and rapped parts respond to each other and coalesce, that makes this incredibly exciting. And it's also just, I think, the quality of the production itself as a final note. I think that the way the vocals are positioned in several parts of the mix, including getting a bit wider in the chorus section, just for a bit of added heft to it, is a smart idea. If we'd had the sort of like, Killah Threat in the center the entire time, it just might have been a little bit monotonous, not because of like the actual performance itself, but because simply you had a similar, it just would have been a missed opportunity. And I'm glad that they took the ability, the chance to have it sound a little bit unique, a little bit, why is that over there? A little bit asymmetrical, because it wasn't perfectly represented on the other side. It was just simply more on that left side. I just think it's little choices like that which capture the person's attention and invoke a sense of curiosity that sort of make a song special. And it's just these things, and amongst everything else, that without any sort of complaints about the track overall, that just make me feel incredibly, and I suppose just it's very authoritative and sort of self-assured in regards to the actual theme itself there. It's not super, like, it's sort of major oriented, or maybe it is minor, but there's just a sense of glow and grace to it, which makes it seem a little bit more sort of like cheery. So I appreciate that that overall end result. We've got True to the Game, track number 3. And Woodwinds, man. I mean, it's luxurious, isn't it?
Starting my night, I open a bottle of freaky Moscato with mulattoes and Blasian women, toasting to good tomorrows. In my Stacey Adams, in my lapels, Mr. Bravado. Cause my signature is just the mentions in the avocado with many carrots. I'm never late, no demerit. I live my life never careless from G shit that I inherit. I'm hoping that it's apparent, I mean what I state. No time to play, so please leave your pride at the gate. Now make yourself at home, mi casa su casa la mama. Try to enjoy yourself and congregate with my player partners. I know you had a long day and a very long week, but we learned to balance so we can smile from both cheeks. How sweet, no matter how much you had to drink, you pay attention when them niggas speak. Now this here ain't for the weak, but I take a crack at it, cause you been around the world and got your chandelier status. That is fantastic. Now here's a celebration, cause many of us don't make it. I acclaim true to the game, Hall of Fame, cause we became true to the game. Out the frame, this is my lane, true to the game, I'm the man. Now here's a celebration, cause many of us don't make it. I acclaim true to the game, Hall of Fame, cause we became true to the game. Out the frame, this is my lane, true to the game, I'm the man. I know many claim they the truest that was ever to do it. To graduate to a master you must complete as a student. Let's sprinkle in some illusions just to sharpen your character. Start repeating the cycle, overcome the inferior. Deep as the barrier reef, I come with the sweet. Let's head to the suite, the after party is man you feet. We gather in peace, throw off from the streets, we legendary. Follow the leader, sipping the view with some undercarriage. Thanks to liquid courage, I will encourage. Go get your friends, go get your posse, go get your round, go get your twin. You might attain some game from a killer, it all depends on how you acquire information seen through the lens of the one who has seen it, who's done it all. Pulling a ton from my birth to my curtain call. Word to my sons and my daughter, there's no way that they stopping this. Let's have a moment for a toast for all accomplishments.
Sorry to interrupt going before the chorus. It's just the different guitar lines and the flutes. They're just so perky and peppy, and it's just such a fun song. It's just, there's so many interesting little bits to appreciate there. You can tell they really wanted to make unique, sort of like well coordinated compositions, and they managed to just know. I sound like I'm being almost superfluously positive about this, but I don't necessarily feel that way.
Celebration, cause many of us don't make it. I acclaim true to the game, Hall of Fame, cause we became true to the game. Out the frame, this is my lane, true to the game, I'm the man. Now here's a celebration, cause many of us don't make it. I claim true to the game, Hall of Fame, cause we came true to the game, out the frame. This is my lane, true to the game, I'm the man. We about to celebrate.
Awesome. Great shift in atmosphere.
We about to celebrate.
And the harp there. And that bell hit, that ride hit was so clean, dude. So true to the game. I think I got that one sort of more on the first listen here. Effectively, I think it's about discussing the work-life balance between what we do as musicians, what we get engaged in, and just finding a way to sort of go between, you know, working as hard as we do, not just Killah Threat, but also the people around them, and partying and having a good time and just trying to keep things legitimately kind of like authentic. And just basically, I suppose, celebrating the position they're in that they've discussed throughout Stars and Blaxapolitan. I feel like play is an important thing, and I'm glad that we're discussing it and we're not sort of just focusing solely on the grind kind of element. So I think if there are some things I appreciated about this track, the first part is the interesting instruments that were used within it. I feel like the use of the guitar, that distortion there as a sub layer with some interesting hammer-on pull-offs there is tremendous. The flutes, the way they kind of bounce around the place, and are especially fragrant and kind of remind me of some of the sort of soul and R&B stuff from the 70s and 80s and stuff like that is tremendous. And it just, the way they combine it with even like the sort of more sort of like bottle, or kind of, you can imagine people popping bottles in that interlude section a bit later on there, the bit of kind of vinyl crackle to it, making it a bit more sort of old school sounding. There's just these little creative decisions that elevate it and provide this interesting atmosphere within the piece that you can just sit there and kind of enjoy your time with it. It was a more how do I describe it? It was a more sort of standard composition here with the use of verses and choruses with the interlude near the end. So it shows that we can go between those different ways of structuring a piece without there being any sort of like negative implications. I just appreciate, especially the start of it, with that very sort of like organic, like it sounded like there was an entire sort of like group of musicians leading us into that first verse, almost like we were sort of hyping ourselves up for that big night of going to the Moscato and everything like that. It sounds wonderful. It's incredibly classy. And I like the fact that we had a song in here which could easily be a single. It's just fantastic to have those sung parts in the chorus that allow a sense of accessibility and sort of catchiness there. Well, it's very sort of chic and suave. I think it's also just the use of dynamic range combined with the clarity of the instruments in the mix, which isn't something I've really spoken about so far, but it's not just the sound of the drums, for example, or sound of elements individually. It's that whatever we throw at the listener, it sounds like it would be sort of heard in a real life environment, like in a performance, in-person performance. Or alternatively, it just sounds like a commercial grade studio production. There's a wonderful crispness to the vocals as well as everything else there. And so you sit there and you think, man, they really know what they're doing. And if I'm honest with you at this halfway point, it is absolutely criminal that this track only has 22 plays. I would consider it to be some of the best hip hop and rap that I've heard in quite a while, especially, you know, on an indie level. And I believe they deserve more exposure, you know, unconditionally. I think ultimately we are very, like, it's the final thing I want to note is just the way we express ourselves. Killah Threat is so comfortable on the microphone, and they effortlessly navigate what could easily be kind of almost overdone. Like everyone, there's a lot of songs about sort of partying and enjoying yourselves and all that kind of stuff, but it's just something about the way that we are talking to the listener, that we're singing it, etc., that really sort of makes you feel like you're listening to them that is their way of sort of doing this sort of subdivided story in their own way. And I like, again, it's just more the balance concept and stuff like that. It's just really positive, you know. We got King's Philosophy, track number 4.
Purple tonight. This is for Domestic Violence Awareness Month.
Yeah, the color purple shows symbolic support for domestic violence survivors. Various landmarks across St. Louis will display purple lights tonight. Those include Union Station, Ballpark Village, and the new Centene Stadium.
Standing in the moment, time stands still. I suffer from anxiety, this shit real. I walk within society to come build. Hustle and all propriety is so chill. I come from the land of the arch and the tip drill. I come from the block where we spark and get blue bills. No matter any time of day, you will go downhill. When niggas selling wolf tickets, that's a free will. Shit, hit them with an anvil. By the time they get up, they head banging, need an Advil. If they are complaining, leave them running like a treadmill. That's better than them laying in the landfill.
Great chopping of that.
What up, dirty? Yeah, I feel 100. Like that K past 30. Yeah, I chase that money. Yeah, I run that dirt. Nigga, get that dough. Nigga, what's too early? Don't make a mockery of the monopoly throughout the colony. It's robbery of this mythology without apology. The prophecy is to own property and do it properly. No comedy when show geometry break your autonomy. Here's the philosophy of living in the loot time. You either up or at the bottom getting screwed down. If anybody in the way, they getting moved down. Survival of the fittest, better buy a clue, pal.
And just allowing there to be space. You always have this tremendous sort of spoken, like, kind of like news broadcast. And then you go into further context with the vocals again, slightly on the left. They're just kind of making you wonder why they're there. And then you just have space. You just have space there. Just space to appreciate the backing there.
In solitude, I welcome recollection. To look at all the shit I was projecting. But ego tripping killed the reconnection. As enemies who spit at my reflection. I know so many people come with questions. Like how within a rule I became the exception. I take my time because I like perfection. And live my life in block out misconception. Hey, what up, dirty? I'm the bird that get the worms. Now I'm up early, hitting the pavement on the grind. I have no mercy, making the scene all blurry. Cause my coat all furry. No, I'm not Frank Lucas. I never snitch on the fam. My consensuous make an hourly payoff a gram. Tricky decisions to skew division, so I overplan. Don't do division, I reposition my goal on my stand. It is tradition. I lead by my intuition. I'm a rider with ambition. No matter what the condition of volition, I'm forgiving all the fuck shit. Cause common sense is not too common to a punk bitch. Dysfunction.
Oh.
Deliver a kind of blow. When I buy a chain to make you mad. It's cold like an Eskimo. Blinded everybody in the building by my cameo. Living with this breath philosophy give me a higher glow. You did?
Yeah, I'm on Canfield Drive. You see over my shoulder behind me the memorial that's in the street here. This is the exact location where Michael Brown was shot and killed 10 years ago. Earlier today, there was a gathering. A lot of folks gathered today to mark the 10 years since his death. While some said some progress has been made in those 10 years, there was a lot of frustration that more change needs to take place.
Damn, man.
Nearly 300 gathered around the memorial to Mike Brown in the middle of Canfield Drive. Former Princeton professor and current presidential candidate Cornel West was among the speakers. Other speakers included former protesters who've risen to positions of power, like Congresswoman Cori Bush.
There has still not been justice for this family. There has still not been change. Not enough for black folks to feel it.
Speakers gave their condolences to the family of Michael Brown. Former protester and current St. Louis Alderman Rasheed Aldridge emphasized that more work and more reforms are needed.
I just want people to know that we can't stop. We got to continue to fight.
I mean, like, holy crap, that's so heavy, right? I mean, that's an understatement itself. So this one's tricky. I'm kind of trying to sort of like be careful about this one. King's Philosophy, I'm wondering if that's sort of doing two things. The first is talking about their own feelings and thoughts on the way that they have grown up, on the way that they've carried themselves, on the way they see the world. They talk about common sense and everything like that. They talk about, you know, not wanting to end up in a landfill. Like, it's almost like we're commenting on things related, which would make total sense, by the way, of course. We're commenting on the things within the domestic violence stuff that we were talking about at the start of the track, if I'm not mistaken. And also the fact that there is just not enough being done to sort of like change things within because clearly, people are dying, that the inequalities and difficulties associated with what they're discussing within those news reports. And so I do think it's simply talking about the fact that stuff hasn't changed over the last 10 years, which is why I'm meeting up again. And there's just a general sort of sense of frustration that even though there are those purple lights, that's almost like not enough being done. Yeah, this is a tricky one. I feel like I need a few plays through it. And I also don't know enough about the situation over there to really sort of say much about it. But the fact that people are getting shot like this, that is clearly horrible. And I'm sorry that people are having to go through that. I think one thing that I appreciated about this track is that they do provide the additional context of like the news reports at the start and the end, almost to like kind of help people out who maybe aren't as familiar with what Killah Threat is talking about, might not be as familiar with the subject matter, with their interpretation, feelings, and thoughts on what's going on, as well as their own sort of way and approach through life. And I think that just structurally, it makes for an interesting piece where that nuance, I think, works better than if we had simply, again, tried to make it sort of more like, hey, this is the hook line, then there's more context, that's a hook line. So I like the fact that throughout this album, we're continuing to not stick to a specific way of sort of making a track or piecing it together. It feels more sort of artistic when you choose a specific custom direction for a track depending on what it needs. I think the strings within this track add a sense of emotional strain and turmoil to it. There is a minor feel throughout it key-wise, and I don't think you could have done this any other way. And I think that just that sort of expression outside of what Killah Threat is discussing, outside of the news reports, just the way that things are so urgent there, just the speed of that, as well as the higher tempo in this piece. It reflects a sense of, I think, frustration, as well as almost a dread at not knowing how to sort of change things aside from simply trying your best to survive. I also think the final thing I want to discuss with this piece is that having the drums go away during those news reports allowed the music to kind of float as a background ether to what is being spoken by the newscasters. And I think that it provides a nice sort of juxtaposition to the more rhythm-oriented sort of rap parts there. It's a nice way to slow things down, add a sense of diversity compositionally through it, but it also allows you to kind of just sit there and absorb it. And I appreciate that as well. I think that was smart. Overall, I don't feel like I fully understand this piece, and I'm being very careful about what I say about it, just simply because of not understanding the context of it, absolutely. But I think overall, even though, again, I don't like the fact that people have been shot and people are going through that sort of suffering and everything like that, I appreciate the musicality of it, and I appreciate Killah Threat's performance. We got track number 5, the Spook full interview.
Pay attention. KT on the track, bitch.
Y'all running the ranks. In my neighborhood, my people only wishing for change. We can be powerful with dialogue. Amongst ourselves, create a catalog of wherewithal, having protocols. We want freedom like chasing waterfalls. Sip alcohol to my curtain call. This is a war and not a free-for-all. These niggas thinking we crazy. La Latifa, I want unity, but some are fugazi. Product of the mid-80s, everything was systemic. The academic will visit the remix of epidemics. I'm living in a state of misery, well, we like opportunity. So what we do, act most stupidly. You can't consider this my eulogy. Besides, I'm just speaking in code, like it's just you and me. Cause every year they out here murdering. We been fucked up way before Ferguson. So let it soak in like lotion with raw emotion. Swim in this ocean, devotion to know the notion. To be a unit when in motion while staying focused. Then hit the urban normal dosage. Ain't no way to be delicate about the issue that's prevalent. Relevant to the problem, do not insult our intelligence. In my melanin to my skeleton, I'll be a soldier. With the heart of man, please don't come again until it's over. As I wake up when I get up to go and start off my day. In the movement with the music, I need to look out for straight. On me and lobby, collect all your parties. Cause I gotta stand up for something before they try to blow me away. As I wake up when I get up to go and start off my day. In the movement with the music, I need to look out for strap.
That kind of crying out, it's very, initially it's quite intense. And it just sort of distracts me a little bit from the parts that are being rapped by Killah Threat. But at the same time, I think that crying out that's kind of deliberate. It's that these words are maybe even sort of being drowned out by the pain that people are in. You know, it's too much.
Collect all your parties. I gotta stand up for something before they try to blow me away.
Spook, I'm that nigga. Politicians out here politicking, I be with them. I'm your vision, i.e. cause I see how they control poverty with robbery. There ain't no iron we, they got us all fucked up. Mike Brown got shot down, so we all cut up. It's so dark in the cut until them sparks fly. Running to them snipers on the roof, homie Hawkeye. Give a fuck about a narc, why? Motherfucker, we done lost lives over young brothers who caught trials. Behind bars trying to force smiles. Can't never let your mama see they got her boy down. Hey, fuck Toys R Us, we don't toy around. We bring them toys around. Hey, shorty, plug your ears, it's gon' get noisy now. Catch the Blues Brothers, the boys are back in town. Black suit cover faces, quick to wrap around. And we a box board and pack you out. Now take cover, we coming back around. Making communities from neighborhoods, showing the people it's okay if your neighborhood, you think you doing something just because your cable good, but you shop at Aldi's, bitch, you want some maple syrup. Nah, you want lean, your favorite serum. Hey, why these broke ass niggas be thinking fame will cure 'em? Homie, that ain't insurance, homie, that ain't enduring. Homie, you ain't maturing, but you be having churn. Spook who said by the dog. Spook who said by the dog.
As I wake up when I get up to go and start off my day. In the movement with the music, I need to look out for straight. On me and lively, collect all your parties. Cause I gotta stand up for something before they try to blow me away.
Because you gotta stand up for something before they blow me away.
When I get up to go and start off my day. In the movement with the music, I need to look out for straight. On me and lively, collect all your parties. Cause I gotta stand up for something before they try to blow me away.
I mean, it's brutal, dude. And we got that fade out. We have gone in a very sort of like a much more intense direction now with this album. I don't mind it. I think that it's interesting to sort of talk about our position having improved, being in a part of our life now where we're sort of trying to make these bigger decisions and sort of be more careful about what we say to people and stuff, simply for the sake of maybe just trying to sort of like, but then we're also discussing a lot of these kind of really sort of like important concepts. And is this track specifically talking to the Spook? Are they like an artist within this? I'm not sure if they're an artist separate to this or not, but either way, maybe it is more specifically trying to sort of focus the attention away from like the newscaster opinions and stuff that we had in the first track, and then going to someone who is the Spook, who's got a more sort of like in-person sort of like experience with it. I think this track is talking about, I suppose, being patronized by people who just assume that the pain started at the point where Ferguson occurred, but then they've been suffering for a lot longer than that. And it's almost like, hey, you don't need to tell us how upset or sort of hurt we should be. We were really struggling with this way before then. Almost like people just figured things magically got better at some point. I think that's what the track's about. Again, I'm not as knowledgeable about this kind of stuff, so I'm being kind of careful about what I say about it. But I think that the way that we communicated here was really smart. I appreciate the way that we weren't, how do I say this? We're still trying to explain our perspective in a way that isn't like, it's still very accessible. Like it's still storytelling, you know. I appreciate the measured tone in which they communicate throughout the track. I think that the harmonies in that mid to upper range were were great, and I think they flowed nicely on top of the bass and drum movements, and I think as well, just again, like it was a really mature performance. I think also at the start, the kind of voice modulation there, almost like we're going into an actual interview, was smart just from a production perspective. Like it kind of sounded like a radio edit or something like that. And I think having it structured so that there was that response later on to what had been said before was cool. It kind of helps sort of segment things in a way where it flowed in a way that was impactful, but also relatively smooth. And I think finally, as I mentioned within the actual track itself, that that kind of hummed melody over top, I think represents the pain there, the struggle that they're going through. And I think the way that this track was produced, where they were deliberately being a bit more sort of like out on the nose with how it was placed in the mix, was smart. It really kind of made you feel, hey, I'm struggling to hear some of these words clearly because of that. It's almost a little bit overwhelming. And I think that's what they wanted you to feel like. The pain that they were going through was overwhelming, the difficulties and stuff like that. And it was kind of a combination of trying to sort of articulate ourselves, which they did incredibly well, whilst also illustrating the emotions involved. And I think that was really well done. I don't have any complaints about this track. It's a heavy one, but it's very good in terms of like the way that it is written and performed. Finally, we have God Willin, track number 6. How we're gonna play out this first 6 tracks of the album.
If I die before I wake, I pray the Lord my soul to take with saving grace. My soul's at stake around these snakes that hiss, that bite, and take no breaks. Make no mistake that some friends are foes now. The loyalty slow down as you transition from keeping G's up and hoes down. Having a big hit, you're bound to meet the real, cause it is ideal with the skill. Still sharp and still, all like Lucille, all like LaMelo. Know that people will envy as you take your shot. Carmelo, it's hard here. My head is on a swivel, I don't know fear. And I count my blessings, cause I am God's here. Chillin' on my altar, the bread would never falter. To money, I'm a stalker, you take it, it will cost ya. Don't say I never told you, you are well informed. I kill any threat, I am the calm before the storm. I place any bet, it's nothing like a killer scorn. Before the internet, if there was beef, leave it to form. Keep it clapping like an assembly, so unequivocally in Missouri, live by this ministry.
Steph Curry, I be shooting for my goal, man. On the ground, but I'm higher than the soul plane. Half of these niggas real half hoes, man. Know the difference from a half and a whole, man. Slept on the park bench, same clothes, man. So weed, so crack, so blow, man. It ain't really what you got, it's what you know, man. In the heat of the moment, hard cold, man. Rose from the concrete, watch me grow, man. And I'ma water that and tell them holla back. I'm from SCL, you see my fitted cap? You probably lost it all, you gotta get it back. You from the trenches too, you ain't think I knew. I probably been through all the shit you been through too. And it's a man's world, mama raised a hustler. We do the hand in hand, you know I know the customers. Onassis, Killah Threat, the silhouette. You know what's happening next, they about to raise the bet. Stay out the media, really look what they feeding you. Welcome to the new world order, they finna starve you. Agents, they got agents, watch faces, pages. We flip pages, dodge the matrix. 3 triangles for real, we not basic. Turn into a doctor, the Glock will give you a facelift. And I'm just trying to chill, how you paying doctor bills? Leave you with a lump on your head, you like, nah, for real. And it's the holy grail, we bout to pass it round. I'm the truth for real, you ain't gotta ask around.
I'm not sure who that other vocalist is, though. Like, hang on a minute. Do they have credits? I don't see the credit. That sounded like a different rapper or musician in that part for God Willin. So I think God Willin is more sort of talking about their own sort of respective abilities, their capacities as human beings. But like from the perspective of, you know, God Willin, their ability to keep going based on what life is able to provide for them or whatever they're able to accomplish. I think that's kind of what this track talks about. They talk about coming from the trenches and stuff like that. So I presume that's probably them talking about like their upbringing and everything like that and the difficulties that they had to go through. And I think that it's, I congratulate them for getting through it because it sounds like it's been incredibly difficult. And it's fantastic to hear musicians who are able to sort of come out of those circumstances and make names for themselves and become successful. I think a few of the things I like about this track before we go into the conclusion, the first of it is simply having the A-B side between the first and the second. I'm wondering if Onassis is the second one. We've got Onassis, Killah Threat, the silhouette at one point, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe they're the other one. I can't see on YouTube Music who it is. Who does the other part. Is a very different sort of like voice to Killah Threat, so I'm assuming it's someone else. I feel as if they sound, they have different textures and their contrast, and it's easy to tell who's who. I just think having those two different perspectives is great, almost like you're not just hearing Killah Threat's one, you're also hearing the different sort of journey from the other. Maybe they're having a conversation with each other throughout this, a discussion between two men. I'm not sure. Either way, it's, again, another interesting way to structure a piece that I feel is effective. I think, in addition, the way things are set up instrumentally is really intriguing. It's a lot more kind of chilled out and kind of airy with a lot of the mid to higher elements, such as the guitar and the choir parts in the background. There's a glow to it, which almost seems like we're showing a sense of gratitude for what we have, and obviously maybe a sense of spirituality alongside that. But then I think also it becomes a bit more down to earth when we get to the point where those kind of mid to high range parts just come out, and so we're simply left with the bass and drums. It's just a easy way to contrast and sort of add a bit of variety within a composition. It's just effective. Finally, I think it just, in general, the length of it is good. I don't feel like we would have benefited from having had more than those two perspectives there. I don't know how we could have harmonized our parts, having them separate in and out, having a similar amount of space or bandwidth within their stanzas was good. And ultimately, I just think that it's just at 2 minutes 50, it made the most of its sort of real estate without any filler. Well, welcome to the conclusion of my review of this album from an act named Killah Threat titled Age of Aquarius. This latest album, I've listened through the first 6 tracks today, and I think that it was across the board really well done. I've spoken about each of the 6 tracks: Stars, Blaxapolitan, True to the Game, King's Philosophy, Spook, Full Interview, and God Willin. Throughout the piece, I'll give my thoughts and opinions on those. I don't think there's any weak points across these. I feel like you go into this track with Stars and you have that voiceover part at the end talking about how everything's going to go well and you can make the most of the opportunities that are present. But songs like King's Philosophy and The Spook, they just get really heavy, man. Even with like God Willin, it's still like kind of, it's more sort of asserting ourselves and our position within our lives and trying to understand one another. And maybe trying to find a sense of kinship and amongst the pain that was expressed in like track 5 and stuff like that. I feel like Blaxapolitan, True to the Game, I find that balance there with what's going on with like the sort of the work that we're doing throughout the week, as well as being able to enjoy ourselves and party, and just I think that's kind of it's a nice contrast. It's just lots of different angles within this album that I feel will continue throughout the rest of the 8 tracks additional to it. I feel like the vocal performances, the wide variety of different instruments featured throughout, all the different keys, synth, guitar, bass, strings, flute. The actual songwriting, the beat making, the instrumental parts of this are absolutely transcendent. And there are some parts where it honestly felt almost sort of like, it was like it's just a cinematic experience there with the way that the strings and the woodwinds would kind of float. And we allowed ourselves also to add interesting bits of Foley with like the newscaster parts, as well as the sort of radio edits and such. And like the I don't know the specific word of it, but like the Aquarius and the star sign stuff in track 1. There's just a lot of different ideas that added to the interesting structures to the pieces, the extensive sort of efforts to make each track engaging with the dynamic range. And it's just also the themes typically made sense for what we were discussing in regards to the subject matter, and the production overall was really tight. It was commercial grade. I don't have any complaints about this album. I feel like I'd have a better understanding of the context for the entire album under my belt, but I feel like the first 6 tracks have been fantastic, and I look forward to checking out the rest if I get the chance. But this is effectively my review of this album from an act named Killah Threat titled Age of Aquarius. Hopefully I enjoyed it. If you did, please do go show them some love via their various social medias and their YouTube music page, as well as their website, and stay cool and stay safe. And please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as need the help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world. And I'll catch you in the next SP Reacts. Spiderhands out.